All right. Ooh. Hi, everybody. My name is Jonathan Sagot, and I'm a partner at Fenwick & West in the startup and venture group, where I spend, not surprisingly, a lot of time with AI companies, especially over the last 3 years. And I'm here today with Phoebe Wang, who is now the Chief AI Officer of Nuvini. And we're going to be talking about our own journeys when it comes to AI enablement and deployment, and hopefully have a little bit of fun. So, Phoebe, I'd love to start by talking about your career journey. You've had this incredible path from Shell to Amazon and now at Nuvini. What was maybe one or two defining moments in your career that led you to focus on AI?
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan, and hi, everyone. Very happy to be here. It's my 9th year coming to GCVI. I know it's kind of our 10 years anniversary, so it's amazing to see kind of the community grow bigger and bigger, and I always feel like a homecoming here. So right now, I'm Chief AI Officer for Nuvini, which is also our operating company. It's publicly listed on NASDAQ, and then we also have separate fund in the private equity side. So like in terms of my journey, I would think that it's pretty interesting, and I think the whole conversation and then the direction are kind of in line or in cadence of the industry being developed. So my first investment, I think, is probably more about my defining moment in AI was back in 2017, and when I was at BP Ventures, when we were still like talking about digital twins, machine learnings, and then how to use those algorithms and applications in exploration and a lot of activities in the new what we call kind of new energy, but it's basically solar power, etc. So back then, we have invested in a company that was not that well known and not that hot. It's called Palantir, and they have had like a 5-year strategic collaborations with BP, and we kind of have a top-down decision that this would be an interesting company that we want to keep kind of close connection with, so we invested $50 million over there. Still very expensive at that time, but now looking at their market cap, right, I think it's one of the best investment in my portfolio. So I think from then onwards, like from my background too, like I have STEM training, like I did Python from my undergrad. I also did my own startup as a front-end engineer. So like all of those kind of programming days really helped me kind of jump on the machine learning boat back in 2015, and then I kind of moved that along as my like a corporate venture career. So like with BP and Shell Ventures, we also have digital transformation, and then later on with Amazon, when we were doing like the $2 billion sustainability fund, I think 2 years ago, we started like looking at a lot of AI infrastructure. So like the broader team in the corp dev, like we have invested in Anthropic back in 2023, and that's not that long ago, right, or 3 years ago. So it's I remember there are a lot of like hot debate internally, because you still have a ton of different LLMs, and then large hyperscalers and large tech companies, Magnificent Seven, are also working on their own model, like Llama from Meta, Gemini from Google, and we also have like a Nova from Amazon. So like it's really hard to pick a horse out. So I'm pretty happy that eventually like Anthropic was a big deal, like $8 billion there. Also a very good investment. So then with all that experience, like I also want to kind of thank my previous employer. Like there's ML University, which is a machine learning university where Jeff Bezos asked every employee to try to take. I also took that, kind of refresh my kind of training and everything over there. So I think last year, I actually got tapped on the shoulder by quite a bit of public boards on kind of sitting on them and giving them an AI direction. So I added 2 last year, and one of them is Nuvini. So like it really kind of bring the AI expertise and kind of the direction that we are trying to go there. So that kind of all shifted now. Like we are doing a lot of like enterprise software acquisitions and then more traditional industry companies acquisitions. And then for that, we also bring AI technologies to help ramp up and then improve the efficiency there. Yeah, so very excited to be there. I'm like 3 weeks in. And before this conference, I was just in the Economist AI for Business Leader in London, and it's a lot of activities going on there. A lot of C-suites are trying to learn how AI is going to shape and kind of expedite their whole journey in their own industry.
You know, the idea of a company having a chief AI officer, even 12 months ago, would have seemed kind of like we're just making stuff up as we go, right? But you know, now for you to, given the incredible career that you've had, I mean, you teach, you know, at Berkeley and at MIT, and you're so well regarded in the industry. To start and say you are going to be the chief AI officer at Nuvini as your next step, what is your mandate and your roles and responsibilities here? You know, tell us more about like what does a chief AI officer do, and not just what sort of you're expected to do, but how you envision the role.
Yeah, this is a really good question, and I think maybe a year from now or 5 years from now, we will all have like a CIO in the companies, and I think there are like already conferences just specifically for the CIO, similar to the CSOs. So I think for my particular role, it's pretty unique because like I still have a whole like investment mandate, right? So separately, I'm also chief investment officer for our private equity, and like I'm leading that AI strategy and AI investment strategy. Our check size is around like $100 to $200 million, and we also have our debt partners coming in to do a majority acquisition of our target. So that part, I would think that is kind of very similar to my previous bread and butter, right? Investing in startups, but different. Thing is, this would be like a little bit more mature companies, and then instead of having minority interest, we have like a 51% or more majority interest in the company. So that is the mandate that I still have, but has the AI direction there. And then the other part, I think it's probably more universal for a CIO, is building out an AI lab. So one of the transactions that I'm working on, there are like 2,000 employees in that specific company, and then they are very strong in the AI side, and they have an AI lab. So once we have that, and then we will actually build out the AI hub where we will be able to deploy the AI technologies, either building or incubated internally or acquired externally or partnered externally, right? We have some like really good names in our collaboration list. So, and then bring those technology to the more traditional industry companies that we have in the portfolio. I would kind of draw some like a very similar analogy because in the PE world, it's actually a very common play nowadays. So like I would name, I think Alpine and a few others are doing that already. And then on the more later stage, venture capital, or I don't know whether you can still call them venture capital, right? General catalyst, they have the value creation, like a strategy, which is specifically on this AI technology for the more traditional industry. And Jeff Bezos, I think this week or last week, just announced a $100 billion strategy fund on bringing AI into more like a legacy industries and help every industry to improve and enjoy the good things about AI. So yeah, that's kind of my two parts of my mandate. One is still the investment and acquisitions, and then the other is really kind of building out the AI hub and be the AI leader in the industry.
I want to talk about the AI hub concept and sort of being the AI leader at your company. What's your philosophy on balancing central AI governance versus distributed AI innovation at the business level?
Yeah, that's also another really good question, because if any of your leaders have been pushing AI in your organization, right, you probably have all sorts of different response. Some are like a jump right in and then work on the vibe coding or like use cursor or Claude, etc. But some are like hesitated, and especially like I think some like programmers or some folks who have been doing what they've been doing in the past 10, 20 years, it's hard for them to kind of shift their own trajectory. So what we have found being helpful is not only like we have a central hub. The reason why it's a hub, right? You have like also kind of the distributed facility or distributed practice in every companies and every organizations that we're part of. So we have the kind of what we call AI lead or SME expert in those companies, and those are folks that like all the workers that are treated as kind of the easy, what we call kind of lower hanging fruit, and that they can easily learn from them. We also have like a hackathon within the organization and try to improve and invite people to learn. So I think right now it's a very interesting time because we're still like doing the whole ramp up, and then you see all different kind of speed within different industry. But I think in a year it's gonna be like you will have a more universal like application learning curve from the central hub to kind of all the different organizations.
So how, I mean, if your mandate is to have this sort of centralized hub and then to push AI out across the organization, how are you approaching that core challenge of making sure that maybe not everyone in the organization, or maybe everyone in the organization, is not just using AI for something like smart search, which I kind of view as table stakes these days, but is getting sort of that next level of benefit and value creation out of this technology?
Yeah, so we do for two levels. One is obviously like for the technology companies that we acquired or be part of. Those are like, they have a ton of like programmers, right? So this is something that we learned from Google, which is actively doing. So we are able to see like how much code that they actually generated from AI, so Copilot or whatever model that they're using. And then we also, kind of grade them with the output, because you can vibe code all day long, right? AI is able to kind of turn out a ton of code out. Like I don't know whether you guys have seen like the YC CEO right now, like I have a G stack that is like one of the top commit on the GitHub. But like commit the code is one thing. How effective are the codes is another. So like we grade the employees and grade the like programmers into basically a benchmark. One is like how much token that they consume, right? Like basically how much code that they are generating. The second one is how effective the code is, basically the output. So that's one layer. I think it's very traditional. I think all the technology companies, I think eventually we will be doing that. The other thing I think is very inspirational actually for me is we ask employees to think about an idea and then build out their own app or website or applications, and then try to use that within the company and eventually kind of build out as one of the key like a product offering to our customers. So we have like a lot of like a really good blue chip customers where we can test out the AI technology. So this would be like a really from the ground up, right? The new product offering, etc. And these are not only from our like our programmers, but some are from our HR side, from our legal side, etc. Because if you think about the vibe coding, it's kind of lower the technology barrier basically to the minimum. Like I think everyone over here will be able to do that. So that's the exciting time for everybody. Yeah.
You know, as we sort of get towards the end of this conversation, there's a couple of points that I want to touch on. One is looking way ahead in the next, 2 to 3 years, which in AI timeline parlance is the, like the feels like the distant future, but it's, the changes have been so dramatic in the last 6 months. What are the major shifts that you anticipate in enterprise AI sort of adoption and deployment in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, I think one, enterprise AI, like you would see the adoption pretty much universal to all the industries. And I think the barrier of use it will be lower and lower. So Jonathan, you and I have been talking about like how we use AI. So just in the past 18 months, I think the user interface and then the way that you can work, and then also the context window, as well as like how much better the like a sub prompt that AI tools are able to do is getting much better. So I think it's only going to be a trend, right? If you're not happy about some tools, or if you feel like, hey, there's a glitch, I need to like copy all my prompts like into one file. I think all those barriers are going to be gone because the speed of like AI engineers and develop the next generation of, let's say, co-work from cloud, or like you have a ton of similar things from Gemini, Nova, etc. So those will help you a lot. So that's kind of a very steady state application and rollout. The second one I think it would be very interesting is about the physical AI. Because if everyone think about the LLM as actually like people would know, I mean the intelligence like a body of the AI knows what they want to say next. But I think the whole physical AI part would really be revolutionized for the industries where you have manufacturing, you have construction, you have in the semiconductor, etc. So if we were able to embrace like AI that can not only say things as their output, but also see and do and have the actual output, I think that's going to be revolutionary. So like we are very heavy looking into physical AI. We have collaborations with like Nuvini and etc. And I'm also like very welcoming like interesting technologies in that space.
So for our last question, for folks who, we're all in different places on our AI journey. For leaders who are just starting, what's one piece of advice that you would give them to level up in a responsible and sustainable way?
Yeah, so I like the very first one is use it, right? Try out the cloud. We're going to hear about Anthropic later today. Just go download it or just go to their website and then try them out. I think that's going to be the very first step. And then I think the whole like guardrail, governance, and safety, I think that's something that at the board level, right, there needs to be a central strategy about that. And this is also something that I've been tasked a lot in some public boards. Yeah, so definitely one, try out, and then two, kind of develop your own AI strategy and make sure that it's safe and you have the whole like guardrail and fallback when you fully deploy AI. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, Phoebe, thank you so much for your time, and thanks everyone for listening in.
Yeah. Thank you. And thanks, Jonathan.